You're not going to believe what's coming out of the palace right now. The air around those royal walls is thick, not with ceremony, but with secrets. And the name echoing through every quiet corridor, Prince Andrew. And guess who's panicking behind her perfect smile? Meghan Markle. See, this isn't your usual royal drama. This is raw, messy, and dangerously real. Andrew's finally talking, and what he's saying has Meghan shaking. The man who fell harder than any royal before him isn't staying silent anymore, and his confession? It's dragging Meghan's spotless image right into the mud. Let's rewind. Prince Andrew's downfall wasn't small. It wasn't private. It was a public crash, watched around the world, title stripped, doors slammed, reputation in ruins. His ties to Jeffrey Epstein turned him from a royal into a scandal overnight. The palace distanced itself faster than ever before. But here's where things twist. If Andrew's world ended because of Epstein, why has there been total silence about Meghan's own claimed connection to that same dark orbit? Same circle, same timeline, same luxurious parties and people. Yet, only one royal got destroyed while the other somehow walked away untouched. No investigation, no headlines, no questions. Just this eerie silence, like someone built a wall around Meghan's past and locked it tight. But silence doesn't mean innocence. It means someone's hiding something. And what's buried in silence always comes back louder. Now here's the shocker. Long before Harry ever smiled at her across a candlelit dinner, Meghan already had a royal link not through destiny, but through Prince Andrew himself. That's right. According to sources close to the palace, Andrew reportedly told friends he knew Meghan personally, not a handshake at an event, not a nice to meet you moment, but something deeper, something personal. That's the part the palace never wanted public. Because if Meghan knew Andrew before Harry, then she didn't enter royal life as an outsider, she was already connected. It changes the entire story. Suddenly, she's not the Hollywood actress swept into a fairy tale. She's a woman who already had her foot in the royal world before the cameras ever found her. So the questions practically scream from the shadows. How close were they? How did they meet? Why did no one breathe a word when Andrew's name became poison? And most importantly, why did Meghan's part in that circle vanish the moment scandal broke? Someone was protecting her. And not just anyone, someone with power. Whatever the reason, that piece of her history got sealed away. Until now. Because the next clue takes us far from palace walls onto a yacht, glittering waters, and a familiar name tied straight to Epstein's private empire. Music. When you trace these stories, the patterns are everything. People, places, timing, they connect. And one name stands like a bridge between those worlds. Karina Shuliak, Epstein's last known girlfriend. She once admitted the only time she ever stepped foot on private planes or yachts was when she was with Epstein. Those weren't just vacations, they were controlled environments. Now listen carefully. In 2014, photos appeared of Meghan Markle on a private yacht. Not a public cruise, not a charity trip, a private luxury yacht. The same kind of circle Karina described, the same lifestyle, the same faces, the same access. And when you remember Meghan's reported connection with Andrew, the whole thing starts to look less like coincidence and more like proximity, dangerously close proximity. Because proximity matters. When a scandal later explodes, the question isn't, were you guilty? It's, how close were you when it happened? If Andrew was destroyed for being in that world, then Meghan's closeness raises something darker. What did she know, and why has nobody ever said a word? That single photograph isn't just a memory, it's a doorway. A doorway into a part of her life the world never got to see. And it doesn't end there. As Andrew's scandal caught fire, one woman's name stood at the center, Virginia Roberts, the woman whose testimony turned a prince into a headline. She wasn't a journalist, she wasn't gossip, she was the spark that burned the royal facade. And rumor has it, Virginia wanted Meghan Markle called as a witness. Not because she was famous, not because she married Harry, but because she was reportedly a past associate of Prince Andrew. That phrase, close past associate, it's heavy. It doesn't come up unless someone believes you've seen or heard something firsthand. And that's the haunting part. Because if Meghan had truly never been near that world, why would anyone even bring her name up? Witnesses aren't random. They're chosen because they might know something. But when the legal storm hit, her name just disappeared. Wiped out. The case pressed on. Andrew's name destroyed, his world gone, yet Meghan? Not a headline. Not a question. Nothing. Almost like someone erased her part completely. But you can't delete history. You can only bury it, and every buried truth eventually claws its way out. Because Meghan didn't just walk into royal life fresh from Hollywood. No, she was already brushing against the edges of power long before she ever said yes to Harry. So how did she get there? Let's pull the curtain back to when Meghan was still filming Suits in Toronto. She wasn't royal. She wasn't global. She was ambitious, charming, but she didn't have access to the world's power circles until one man entered her life, Marcus Anderson. Anderson wasn't some casual acquaintance. He was a senior figure at Soho House, the private members club that catered to the rich, powerful, and dangerously connected. According to multiple insiders, Marcus didn't just meet Meghan, he recruited her. He opened those golden doors most people never even see. Through him, she met people like Jessica Mulroney and others who moved in elite financial and royal adjacent circles. It wasn't random friendship, it was positioning. Every dinner, every introduction, every trip, calculated steps up the social ladder. And by the time Harry's name even appeared in her orbit, Meghan had already networked her way through rooms that whispered royal influence. Now here's the dark twist. According to some claims, Harry wasn't her first royal focus. Before him, there was another older, more established, and already inside the palace, Prince Andrew. Sources insist Meghan had her sights set on him not as a mentor, not even as a friend, but as a romantic and strategic target. If that's true, the narrative flips entirely. Meghan wasn't some doe-eyed outsider who stumbled into royalty, she was aiming for it. She was studying the chessboard, moving pieces, waiting for the right opening. But one woman stood in her way, Sarah Ferguson, Fergie Andrews' ex-wife and eternal protector. Fergie, the gatekeeper, the one who, according to whispers, blocked Meghan from getting too close. And when that door slammed shut, Meghan shifted her strategy. If she couldn't get to the Duke of York, she'd find another path, one even closer to the throne. Enter Prince Harry. Nobody, not even Meghan, expected that meeting to change history. But once she caught his attention, she never let go. What started as a small chance turned into the biggest royal leap in decades. She didn't just date a prince, she married into the heart of the monarchy. And that, my friend, is where everything started to unravel. Music. Because when Harry said, "I do," he thought he was marrying freedom. Love. A woman untouched by the royal system. But as time passed, whispers found him the kind that chill you to the bone. Rumors of Meghan's past connections, her time near Andrew, the circles she'd once walked through. At first, he refused to believe a word. He defended her like a soldier. He cut himself off from his family, convinced they were being cruel, not cautious. But truth has a way of waiting. And when it finally hit him, it hit hard. Sources claim Harry eventually realized what the family had tried to tell him all along, that Meghan's past wasn't as distant or innocent as she'd painted, and that realization broke him. Disgust, betrayal, confusion, he felt trapped in California, torn from his family, living in exile with a woman who might not have chosen him for love but for leverage. And as Harry's world fell apart privately, the palace went dead silent publicly. That silence was deafening and deliberate, because there were three fears haunting the royal halls. First, Harry's mental state. If the truth exploded publicly, he might collapse under it. Second, the Epstein connection. If Meghan's alleged proximity to that circle ever came out, the monarchy could face a second explosion, even bigger than Andrew's. And third, reputation. If the public realized Meghan had ties to Andrew's world before marrying in, it would make the palace look incompetent, like they'd invited chaos straight through the gates. So instead of exposing her, they protected her. Silence became the shield. But silence never lasts, because there's one person inside that palace who's had enough. The man who lost everything and now has nothing left to lose, Prince Andrew. Imagine being him, stripped of titles, shunned by your own family, your reputation destroyed while someone who shared your circle walks away shining. That's Andrew's reality. And according to sources, he's furious. Tired of being the only one crucified. Ready to talk, not to clear his name, but to burn hers. And he's not alone. Sarah Ferguson stands right beside him, whispering in his ear, holding every memory, every detail, every moment the palace tried to bury. They're aligned now, two exiles, armed with truth. If Andrew opens his mouth, even for one sentence, silence breaks. Because once he talks, there's no putting this genie back. And here's the chilling final piece. According to insiders, there exists one truth, one secret, powerful enough to destroy Meghan's royal chapter forever. A truth not just known by Andrew, but by Fergie, even Princess Eugenie. A truth tying Meghan to Andrew's past, to that scandalous circle, and to the palace's decision to bury everything. If that truth comes out, Meghan doesn't just lose her image, she loses everything. Her royal name, her influence, her public sympathy, the fairy tale shatters, because it wouldn't just show she married into the royal family, it would prove she infiltrated it. And that's why Meghan's panicking. That's why Harry's unraveling. That's why Catherine has stepped up, calm and controlled. That's why Charles has reportedly drawn a hard line, removing titles, distancing the crown. Because the monarchy isn't just guarding tradition anymore, it's bracing for impact. What happens when the man who lost everything decides he's done protecting everyone else? When Andrew finally speaks, the world won't just hear a confession, it'll witness the royal story rewritten in real time. And trust me, that's a storm no palace wall can hold back. And here's the thing, nobody wants to admit this storm isn't just about scandal, it's about revenge. Andrew feels cornered, humiliated, and stripped of everything that once made him royal. And now, with nothing left to protect, he's the most dangerous man in the palace. Those whispers about his private meetings, those half-truths hidden in classified files, he's ready to bring them all out. Meghan's carefully crafted Hollywood smile won't save her if that happens, because once he speaks, there will be evidence, witnesses, and memories that even palace walls can't silence. Insiders say Fergie's already collecting old photos, messages, and documents just in case. The monarchy is holding its breath, because if this secret finally explodes, it won't just destroy Meghan's image, it will tear open a wound the royal family can never hide again. And this time, there's no going back.